Hello world, and welcome back to another episode of the vlog series that goes to the end of every metro line in Shanghai in search of the interesting, the extraordinary and the unusual. Now you know, on this series I always try to squeeze in a little bit of culture, so today we have a line doing just that, joining up a number of museums, cultural sites, galleries and even a really large artificial hill. This is line 13, so let's get on board.
Did you ever look at a map and wonder, where are these places? What's out there? Well, maybe it's just me, but I decided it's time to find out. I'm travelling to the end of every metro line in Shanghai in search of the interesting, the extraordinary and the unusual. So let's go to the end of the line. Today we start out at Jinyun Road in Shanghai's northwest before we head east, underneath Suzhou Creek, past a couple of museums we're going to check out, underneath the Huangpu River and through Shanghai's Expo district, before heading out through Pudong and finishing up at Zhangjiang Road.
So here we are at Jinyun Road, currently one end of line 13, and both ends of line 13 currently have extension projects under construction at the moment, which should hopefully be open by the end of this year. We have here also a construction site for one of the new suburban railways that is under construction. They've got a number of these suburban railway projects on the go at the moment in more outer areas of Shanghai, connecting the outer areas to Shanghai city. Other than that, we have a huge sea of scooters, hire bikes, suburbia, as well as the suburban area. We have two shopping malls, one there and a larger one, Wonder Plaza over there, as well as planes in the distance heading to Hongqiao Airport. There's probably not a lot else to say really, so let's jump on the metro and start that journey towards a bit of culture. Our first stop is here at Jinshajiang Road. I wanted to show you Global Harbour, this shopping centre behind me, which isn't quite the culture I'm sure you had in mind. Somewhere I'm sure there's an architect that said, "You want me to put what on the design?" when the client came up with this idea. So yeah, quite a mix of architectural and artistic styles here at Global Harbour. There is not a bad view from this rather dead rooftop terrace though. Not much else to see here, so let's get back on that metro and find some real culture. So just up the street and around the corner from the Jiangning Road metro station, tucked into a quiet bend of the Suzhou Creek, we have arrived here, the M50 Art District. Now this place is frequently very high up on the list of places that people recommend to visit in Shanghai, so I couldn't not drop by and check it out. Now this whole part of Shanghai used to be very industrial, a lot of factories alongside the Suzhou Creek, and this site here used to be a textile mill. A lot of these buildings were built in the 1930s. Now, after the factory closed down around the early 2000s, a few artists moved into the then abandoned buildings, starting to use them for studios and galleries, and it's only kicked on since then. So let's have a quick look around. M50, highly recommend you put it high up your list when you visit Shanghai. Now just up the street from M50, also on the banks of Suzhou Creek, is the 1000 Trees Complex, which I featured way back in line 4 when it was still under construction. Now let me wander up the street to give you an update on how it looks. We are at 1000 Trees, the first stage there, the taller second stage just down the creek. I really like this building as a piece of architecture. Along with the trees, it looks incredible. It's also reminiscent of a couple of hills here next to the Suzhou Creek, and that reminds me of something we're going to see a little bit further down the line. So let's head back to the metro and keep going. Next up we have the Shanghai Natural History Museum at the metro station of the same name. Very interesting building with a lovely green roof that curves up in a bit of a spiral, which is sadly closed to the public. Now, given it's school holidays, of course plenty of families and children here to visit the Natural History Museum. Now this museum is set within the Jiangning Sculpture Park, and we can see a number of sculptures around the park here behind me. Now the best time to visit the Jiangning Sculpture Park is undoubtedly in spring for two reasons. Firstly, a lot of these trees here are Sakura cherry blossom trees, so when they are blooming, it's an incredible sight, all the pink flowers. It is normally pretty packed with people wanting to take their photos with the trees as well. A little bit later in mid-spring, this is one of the venues for part of the Jiangning Tulip Festival. So normally a lot of these flower beds filled with lovely blooming tulips. Now the Natural History Museum is quite good. I have visited in the past. We're not going inside today. We have alighted here at Xintiandi, or to be more accurate, the station is named site of the first CPC National Conference, Xintiandi, very catchy name. Now no vlog series of Shanghai would be complete without a visit to Xintiandi, so we're going to wander up the street and I'll give you a look. And so this is the Xintiandi development, probably one of the first developments in China to really make good use of some of the old historic style of architecture, the Shikumen architecture of Shanghai in this instance. You can see the whole area is now full of stores, boutiques, bars and restaurants, and it is one of the most well-known tourist attractions in Shanghai. But for me, I would describe it as Shanghai's wonder wall. It might be the one that everyone knows about, that everyone comes to see and have a look at, but really, when it comes to Shanghai's top list of tourist destinations, it's probably the least good of the top tourist destinations, really a bit overrated in my book. Does that make the Bund Shanghai's champagne supernova? Could be. Let me know in the comments. Now, as well as the older area renovated here behind me, there are two shopping mall buildings there as well. Now, why did Xintiandi survive when so many other old districts like it across Shanghai have long since vanished? Well, the answer is here, in the aforementioned site of the first CPC National Congress in 1921. So now that we've ticked that off the list, I'm heading back to the metro, and our next location is somewhere I've been looking to check out now for quite a while. It's here to the World Expo Museum, again at the metro stop of the same name. Now, 3 of the Line 13 stations were used during the Expo to help get people into the site, especially on the other side of the river in Pudong. Now, all these years later, the Puxi side here of the Expo area, which is the smallest section, still hasn't really been well utilised. There's a little bit of redevelopment going on across the road. But on the Pudong side, a large area has recently been opened into the Expo Culture Park, which we'll check out in a moment. First, let's go and have a look inside the World Expo Museum. So that was a good, albeit brief, look at the history of World Expo itself and some of the background of the Shanghai Expo. At Shibo Avenue, now I'm pretty sure back on line 8 near the China Art Museum, we showed a little bit of the former Expo site. That's down there behind me. But this side, in the intervening few years, has finally been built and opened as the Shanghai Expo Culture Park. And this is one of my favourite parks in Shanghai. First up, it's pretty big. So even on the weekend when there's a lot of people out, you can always find some quiet corner to relax, chill out a little bit. It's also not that far from the city centre. Easy to get to by metro. A number of really nice features here in the Shanghai Expo Culture Park. There is this quite large lake, traditional style bridge crossing it, and the building behind that is a greenhouse using the shell of one of the factories that was in the industrial area here before the Expo site. Further over there's also a traditional style garden similar to what we might see at Yuyuan Garden in a couple of episodes' time. But possibly the most notable feature of this park is these two twin hills which have been built, you can see behind me, which are entirely artificial. Way back on line 9 I climbed Shushan out in Zhangjiang district. Now we have our very own small hill to climb right here in central Shanghai. As I said, this park can get quite busy on the weekends. There are a couple of lawns dotted around the place which have been quite busy with people sitting, relaxing, especially setting up their tents. But today, a midweek day in the middle of summer, it's super quiet here. I almost feel as if I have the place to myself. There's a couple of people around, but in the middle of Shanghai, that's definitely a rarity. So we've made it to the top of the tallest of the twin peaks. As you can see, there's a really nice view of the Expo Park, Lupu Bridge behind me. There's 3 Expo pavilions still that exist within the park, the lake, the greenhouse, and behind the greenhouse is the almost finished Shanghai Grand Opera House, and of course the Huangpu River snaking around behind that. You might very well be asking, if these hills are artificial, what are they made of? And that's a very good question, and the answer is car park. Yes, there's a multi-storey car park underneath these 2 hills. So at least they've made some functionality out of the vast amount of materials and resources needed to build these hills. But even if they are artificial, I do quite like them. It gives a good view, a little bit of nature, and really adds something unique to this quite large park here. So if you're up for it, definitely recommend the climb up here to the top of the Twin Hills at the Shanghai Expo Culture Park. Stopped off here at the second last station, Xuelin Road, very briefly for one fun little fact. Now most roads, especially in large cities like Shanghai, are named after other places. So of course you have Nanjing Road, Beijing Road, Yongqing Road, Shenyang Road. But this area here is one little exception, that's because this pocket of Shanghai is science and research and technology focused. There's a number of science and research organisations around here. The Shanghai Synchrotron is not far away, and so this road here behind me is called Jinshajiang Road, which is named after Nicholas Copernicus, a scientist and astronomer. Now in the nearby area we've also got Halley from Halley's Comet, Edison, who invented the light bulb, Li Bing, Chinese inventor who invented the printing press, and a number of others. So yeah, there's a little fun fact about this area. Now, metro station under construction, of course. Let's get back on the metro and head to our very last stop. Made it out here to Zhangjiang Road here in Pudong, the end of line 13 for now, just as there's been a little sprinkle of rain. I mentioned at the start of the day, this is the current end of the line, but there is an extension slightly further east under construction. Once again, we have an absolute sea of scooters and motorbikes in a quite residential area, residential blocks all on the other side of the road there. A couple of other buildings here. So that pretty much wraps things up for line 13. For me, the highlight, always the Expo Park. M50 was great as well. Make sure you drop a comment, tell me what you liked. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll have more episodes of End of the Line coming up very soon. Line 14 on its way soon. So until then, bye for now.
We're now at the terminal station.